massacred, weren't they?
I think 1,200 people were killed.
Were they massacred?
Yeah, they were killed.
Right, by terrorists?
They were killed by people who were resisting an occupation.
Bullshit.
And
they're terrorists.
An NHS doctor of 25 years walks into Piers Morgan's studio. He leads Hizb ut-Tahrir in Britain. His members chanted jihad on the streets of London. Days after October the 7th, he called the attack a welcome punch on the nose. Morgan has the tape. He asks one simple question about that day, and asks it again and again. 18 minutes later, the doctor still hasn't answered, but he has told the country exactly what system he wants here. Let's get into it.
These are members of your organisation, and they're allowed chants of jihad on the streets of London. Do you think that's acceptable?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. That demonstration was a very carefully planned demonstration where the placards, the banners, the speeches from the platform were calling for a military intervention of official armies of Muslim countries to rescue the people of Gaza, with a situation of a civilian population of 2 million who are being massacred and slaughtered. Anywhere else in the world, you would find it a completely straightforward thing for people calling for military intervention.
But they weren't chanting, we want military intervention. They were chanting jihad. So my question for you is simply, do you support the chanting of jihad?
The chanting of jihad by somebody there, unscripted.
Well, quite a few people there.
Actually, no. It was about 2 people.
So you would condemn that?
Of course, I wouldn't condemn that.
You wouldn't?
No, because jihad in that context is as they understood it, and they were chanting, is for the official armies of Muslim countries to enter and intervene. We're in a situation now, Piers, where 1% of the population of Gaza has been killed in the space of 2 months. 1% of the children of Gaza have been killed. Anywhere else in the world, you yourself called for military intervention in Ukraine by NATO with probably less legal and moral cause than there is in Gaza. When we stand...
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because
so you think that when Vladimir Putin illegally invaded Ukraine, the moral right of Ukrainians to respond is somehow equivalent to the moral right of people in Palestine after October the 7th to do the same. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the people of Ukraine have actually one of the most powerful armies in the region.
It doesn't change the fact they were illegally invaded, does it, Doctor?
The people of Gaza have nobody helping them.
Look at the first 30 seconds. Morgan asks whether chanting jihad on a London street is acceptable. The answer is a lecture about placards and planning. So Morgan narrows it down. So you would condemn that? Of course I wouldn't condemn that. That is the ball game. 1 minute in. Then comes the deflection to Ukraine, as if Morgan calling for NATO to help a country under invasion is the same as excusing October the 7th. Morgan sees it coming.
They have a terrorist organisation called Hamas.
They have nobody helping
They've got 30,000 terrorists who committed on October the 7th an act of unspeakable terrorism.
They have lined up against them the murderous Israeli Defence Force. They have lined up against them the United States, who this week, today in the Washington Post, it was said that the white phosphorus that's being used by the IDF is supplied by them. They have lined up against them the Britain and the EU. They have lined up against them the Arab rulers in the region who carry on their trade cooperation.
Listen, as I've made clear, Doctor, I think a lot of the response from Israel, particularly right now, I would deem to be testing everyone's sense of what is proportionate. Right? There's no question. I do not subscribe to the view it's genocide. Well,
that is the understatement of the century.
Possibly, but I think they have a right to defend themselves against a terror group who have gone on record in the last 2 weeks as saying they want to do what happened on October 7th again and again.
Children of Gaza.
I understand. It's horrific. It's horrific.
It's beyond horrific.
What is it? It's horrific,
because
right?
literally what we are watching on our phones, on our laptops, on our TVs is an extension of what's been happening.
Morgan gives him the honest answer first. He says Israel's response is testing everyone's sense of proportion. That is a man arguing in good faith. And what does he get back? A shopping list. The IDF, the Americans, the white phosphorus, Britain, the EU, the Arab rulers. Everyone on earth is responsible except the 30,000 fighters who started it. Notice the one name missing from that list, Hamas.
After October the 7th, a few days later, you took part in a talk on YouTube and you said this.
brave mujahideen, they gave the enemy a punch on the nose. All right? And it's a very welcome punch on the nose.
How can you categorize a terror attack in which 1,200 mostly innocent civilian people were brutally attacked, raped, tortured, beheaded, and murdered? How can you, a British NHS doctor or NHS doctor in Britain, how can you say that's a welcome punch on the nose?
Will you let me answer fully?
There it is. Days after 1,200 people were murdered, this NHS doctor called it a welcome punch on the nose. Brave mujahideen, he said. Morgan reads the list back to him. Attacked, raped, tortured, beheaded, murdered. And then the question that should be easy. How can a British doctor call that welcome? Watch what he does next, because he never once uses the word he needs to use.
I will defend the right of the Palestinians to resist an occupation. When you look at that...
That's not resistance, that's terrorism.
When you look at what happened on the 7th of October, as if that is the day that everything started...
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that, but when people look at
Do you think what happened that day was a terrorist attack?
When people look...
Do you? Do you?
You know, the word terrorism has become so... politicized.
Actually, not really.
The word
you can
terrorism,
be deeply sympathetic to the plight of Palestinian civilians, which I am, by the way, and have expressed many times. What you can't do is be weaselly-mouthed about what happened on October the 7th.
I asked you to
That was a grotesque
I will
terror
ask
attack.
you to finish.
Yeah, but you're equivocating about it being a terror attack.
I'm not equivocating, and I will explain why. Okay, the word terrorism, by the way, in India last month.
We're going to talk about India. Talk about what's happened
the word
here.
terrorism in India. People who supported the Australian cricket team have been arrested under terrorist offences. In the West Bank, people who are have been told, if you reveal what happened in the prisons, you will be arrested on terrorist charges.
Do you think what happened October the 7th was a terror attack?
It's a
Did
resistance.
you say no?
It's a resistance.
Not a terror attack.
Ask a man if October the 7th was a terror attack and watch him go to India. Cricket fans arrested in India. Prisoners in the West Bank. Anything but the question on the table. Morgan asks it 4 separate times in that stretch, and the closest thing to an answer is no, because it's resistance. He isn't dodging anymore. He's answering, and the answer is worse than the dodge.
Right, our Islamic standard in conflict, in warfare, our Prophet, peace be upon him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, you can't kill children, you can't kill women, you can't kill the elderly, you can't mutilate.
Hamas did all that.
If anybody did that,
What do you mean if?
I say if because...
They literally broadcast it on their own streaming platforms.
Well, I'll tell you what a lot of us saw.
Hamas broadcast it merrily to the world. And here's us doing these terrible things. What do you mean if?
What many of us saw on that day were videos coming out showing people saying, we will not harm women, we will not harm children.
Do me a favour.
No, that's what...
Doctor.
I'm saying that. Resistance is a right in Islam. It's a right in international law. It's even a right that Churchill said in his History of the English-speaking Peoples, that he actually wrote in that book, it is a primary right of men to kill and die for the land they live in.
You literally read me a description of what people who follow Islam are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Hamas did all of those things.
And
but your response is to say, well, hang on, I've seen videos of them saying, we don't want to do that stuff.
No, yes.
I find that pretty offensive, Doctor. We all know they did it because they boasted to the world with their own videos what they were doing.
I find it amazing that respected journalists like yourself seem to have suspended their critical faculties.
No, I'm believing what Hamas wanted me to see.
Well, you're believing what you saw.
No, what Hamas themselves broadcast to the world because they wanted to take great glee in what they'd done. There's no ambiguity about it.
He quotes the Prophet's rules of war: no killing children, no killing women, no mutilation. Then he says if anybody did that, if Hamas filmed it themselves and streamed it with glee, and this man is still saying if, then out comes Winston Churchill, of all people, to bless the whole thing. Morgan's answer is the line of the night. You just read me a list of what Islam forbids, and Hamas did every single item on it.
Let's agree on a principle. If atrocities were committed, right, I will never condone them, right? I will say that.
So do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
if atrocities are committed, you know who's
What do you
responsible?
mean if? No, they were.
Who's responsible for it then?
So you don't condemn it?
Okay, who is responsible?
The Jews
for it?
brought it on themselves?
No, actually, I would say more than that. I would say the powers that believe that Israel should be a colony for themselves in the Middle East, they are the ones responsible.
Do you know what? I'm really struggling. I've got to be honest with you. I'm really struggling. A British National Health Service doctor of 25 years,
Yes.
a man who's supposed to be seeing patients all day, every day and putting them right, is incapable of saying what happened when it was literally broadcast to the world by a terror group. Nor do you think they're terrorists. You think it's resistance. You seem to want to go every way to justify it. You don't even believe what they showed us with their own technology. And I'm just curious. Do you think any of this is compatible with you being a doctor in the National Health Service?
You don't have.
Let's agree on a principle. That's how you start a sentence when you have no intention of answering. If atrocities were committed, Morgan asks him straight, do you condemn October the 7th? And gets a question back about who is responsible. Then the real answer arrives. The powers who wanted Israel there are responsible, not the men who did it. 1,200 dead, and the blame goes to everyone except the killers.
Do your patients know that you believe these things?
You don't have to be a doctor to care for the lives of 2 million people in Gaza. You don't have to be a doctor.
I'm concerned about whether your patients here in this country, where Hamas are a prescribed terrorist organisation.
And I've said
they're listening to this interview, do these patients know your views?
I have said to you.
Do they know your views?
I don't talk to my patients about my views in a 10-minute consultation, do I? Nobody does that. It's just a foolish question, isn't it? That's a foolish question, yeah? Nobody talks to
Why do you use a different name?
I use my name.
Well, you don't. You have two names. One, the leader of the group.
Yeah, Abdul Wahid is a name that family, friends, and other people call me.
Right.
Actually, even some people.
But that's not the name you use at work, right?
Even some people at work. And Wahid Asif Sheda is my legal name, which people use in other forums. That's not a very unusual
In May 2023, a
Piers,
prominent...
I'm going
to ask you another question.
You did not give me the courtesy
of
letting me
why? Because
finish.
your answers were so outrageous.
You censor. That's your answer.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
censor. The person doing the censoring is you.
No, you are censoring.
Who wants me to try and understand and believe that what Hamas showed us, boasted about, with their own technology, broadcasting it to the world, was not what we saw. That's called censorship.
Well,
that is actually the purest personification of censoring the...
Now Morgan asks the question every one of his patients would want answered. Do the people in your waiting room know what you believe? The reply is that it's a foolish question. Then, the two names. Abdul Wahid for the group, a different name at work. And when Morgan finally cuts him off, he calls Morgan a censor on Morgan's own show after 20 minutes of uninterrupted airtime. That takes some nerve.
I've ever encountered.
When you bring Mark Regev onto the show, and you question him, lightweight questioning, albeit lightweight questioning about the atrocities that have happened.
Well, you think it's lightweight? I actually ask him difficult questions.
Actually, you don't ask difficult questions. Yeah, you completely accept. You sit there and listen to the most ridiculous explanations.
Unlike you and your answers, you mean?
Well, you don't give me the chance to say.
No, I've heard your answers.
No, you didn't.
I have.
You didn't.
I have.
You didn't.
You don't. Well, let's do a little quick fire.
You're telling the answer.
Let's do a little quick fire recap. Do you think Hamas are a terror group?
I believe it's a resistance organisation.
Okay. Do you think what they did on October the 7th was a terror attack?
I believe that if civilians got killed on that day, it is appalling. It is appalling.
You're a doctor, man.
It is appalling.
You're a doctor in the NHS. What do you mean if? 1,200 people got massacred.
And 1% of the population.
I can share your concerns about what's happened.
You know you don't.
Oh no, I do.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
16 years. 16
I cannot
years
believe a doctor is saying the word
16.
If.
He tries to turn it around with Mark Regev. Morgan doesn't ask hard questions, apparently. This from a man who has spent 10 minutes refusing 3-word answers. Then the quickfire round. And it's devastating. Is Hamas a terror group? A resistance organization? Was October the 7th a terror attack? If civilians got killed? Still if. 10 minutes of pressure and the word if is still doing all the work.
You tell me this, what is a proportionate response to 16 years of living in a cage? No. What is a proportionate response?
Not a terror attack.
What is it?
Not a terror attack.
If they just attacked IDF...
I've asked many times what is proportionate,
so do you
right?
accept that? So you're saying just just to attack the IDF would have been acceptable?
I personally do not believe...
Answer that.
I'm answering
just
this.
To attack
Let me answer
the
your
IDF
question.
Acceptable.
I'm going to say this.
We might be able to agree. I
think the strategy at the moment...
Can we answer
Let me answer the question.
If they had agreed,
let me answer the question. Let me answer the question.
Yes or no? If they had
the
just
answer is I don't think it's going to work. I don't think the IDF is going to eradicate Hamas. And if that is the mission statement, and in the process they kill tens of thousands of innocent men, women and children, if they do that, I think they will radicalise an entire new generation and make it worse. That's my honest view of what I'm now witnessing. But let me come back to... hang on.
That's why when we talk about a military intervention, it's actually what we want.
But Doctor, what happened on October 7th wasn't a military intervention.
No,
it was a terror attack.
What we want as a military
and you don't even think it happened, do you?
What we want is a military intervention from Muslim armies to rescue a beleaguered people and replace an apartheid system.
Palestinian people have to be given the same human rights.
Would you do me the respect?
They have to be given... No, I will interrupt you. It's not your show. You don't just talk forever, right?
What's the point of asking?
I'm going to tell you what I think about the Palestinian plight, which I've talked about many times. You've obviously missed it. I think they should be given the same human rights as everybody else.
Think that
and particularly the same rights of the Israelis. I think it's been a 75-year conflict with...
conflict?
Yes, a conflict. Yes, a conflict.
Where people have been driven out of their homes.
A conflict.
750,000 people in the Nakba.
Wrong. That was wrong.
Encroaching on the West Bank more and more and more.
That was wrong. No. So have been all the wars launched against Israel. That's been wrong. All of it is wrong. Right? The history shows this is a conflict riddled with wrongs on both sides.
Give Morgan credit here. He says plainly that he doesn't think Israel's strategy works, that it will radicalize a generation. That is the opposite of a cheerleader. And the moment he says it, the doctor tries to talk over him for 2 solid minutes. It's not your show, doctor. Then Morgan lists the wrongs. The Nakba, wrong. The wars launched at Israel, wrong. Everyone conceded in about 8 seconds. Notice who never concedes anything.
I think 1,200 people were killed.
Were they massacred?
Yeah, they were killed.
Right, by terrorists?
They were killed by people who were resisting an occupation.
Bullshit.
And
they're terrorists.
Yeah, well, that's your view.
It is my view.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's the view of any person who is not Israeli or Palestinian, right? Anyone can look at it and go...
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Have you not heard the adage, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter? Have you never heard that?
Bullshit.
Have you never heard that?
Let me just...
There's the moment. 1,200 people were massacred, weren't they? I think 1,200 people were killed. Killed. Not massacred. Killed by people resisting an occupation. And Morgan finally says what half the country was shouting at the screen. Bullshit. And they're terrorists. Then comes, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. The oldest line in the book. And Morgan doesn't even dignify it. He just says it again. Bullshit.
In May 2023, Luqman Makim, who's a prominent member of your organisation, called for an end to the secular order so that, quotes, the UK will no longer be able to pump its liberal filth, its LGBT filth, its feminist filth into the heart of the Muslim world. Do you agree with him?
I agree that the West is pumping secular democracy into the Muslim world. And
doing LGBT filth?
I agree that actually what we want to see in the Muslim world is a system with an accountable government, right? An elected leader, upholding family values, right? We want to see an economic system where wealth is circulated.
Do you believe in equal rights for gay people?
I believe that actually the Islamic standard of law should be the standard of law in the country. Obviously, that's the standard I believe in.
And I believe, just to clarify, what is your view of homosexuality?
I believe homosexuality is a sin.
A sin is wrong. So when gay people come to your practice, do you treat them?
Oh, of course.
Why?
Because I treat all my patients with kindness and without discrimination.
Do you tell them you think what they do is a sin?
What an absurd thing to say.
Before we go any further to your patients, I want you to know what I think. I think that I agree with the guy who said
do you understand
this country is full of LGBT filth, feminist filth. I don't think Hamas are a terror group. I don't think what they did on October the 7th was a terror attack. And by the way, do you want me now to treat you?
Do you understand what...
I don't understand any of that.
Professional integrity is.
You think that's professional integrity?
No, I think professional integrity is treating the people I treat with respect and with kindness.
How do I know you
fairness.
do?
Well, they know I do.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
Do they know you think they're filth?
I didn't say that they're filth.
You agreed with what he said?
I didn't agree with what he said.
You said, I agree.
No, I agree.
I can play the tape back if you like.
I agree with the fact that the Muslim world should have the Islamic system. Yeah, I didn't say I agree with it. I don't use words.
Morgan reads out a quote from a senior member of his own group about pumping LGBT filth into the Muslim world. Do you agree with him? I agree that the West is pumping secular democracy. That's a yes with extra steps. Then, on camera, he says homosexuality is a sin. And Morgan lands the point that actually matters. Gay patients walk into his surgery and they have no idea. Professional integrity, he calls it.
You want full Sharia law for this country?
For this country, I'm working for, our group works for Islam, the restoration of Islam in the Muslim world.
What about here?
We work to uphold Islamic values in our personal life and in the Muslim community.
Do you want Sharia law here or not?
I would love, you know what?
You'd love it?
No, I tell you what. In this last 2 months, one of the strangest things has been where people here have been looking at the people in Gaza and they've been going and looking and reading the Quran. And they've been looking at it, and I'd invite you and your audience to do that.
Just to clarify.
I would do that. And
just clarify, you would like Sharia law here?
And they are not convinced by these neocon
would you like Sharia law here?
And caricatures of Islam, are they?
Actually, I don't think... People who, all I've done is ask you straightforward questions.
Yeah.
You've revealed your beliefs in the answers. No, yeah, you have. You may not even realise what you've done, but you have.
I believe in Islamic law, and I don't believe in the caricature that you try and present of Islam.
Would you like Sharia law in this country?
I would love to see you want Sharia law in this country.
I don't want Sharia law in this country.
Well, that's your wish.
But you would.
Yeah, but would you? I believe it's the best system, but I'm not working.
Would you like it in this country?
I'm not working.
Yes or no?
I believe in Islamic.
Yes or no?
You know, the Islamic civilization was the only civilization.
You'd be very quick to answer everything else. Yes or no?
The Islamic civilization was the only civilization that brought peace to the Middle East for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. I would love to see that system there.
Count them. Do you want Sharia law here? What about here? Just to clarify, you would like Sharia law here. Would you like Sharia law in this country? 4 times in 90 seconds, and every answer is about somewhere else. The Muslim world, the Quran, neocon caricatures, Islamic civilization in the Middle East, anywhere on the map except the country he lives in and works in. And Morgan still hasn't finished asking.
See a system.
Who pays your salary?
Wouldn't you like to see a system
pays your salary?
Where Muslims, Jews, and Christians would live side by side in the Middle East?
Sharia law.
It's not talking about this. I'm talking about the Middle East.
No, but you suggested you wanted it to be under Sharia law here.
No, you suggested.
Do you or not?
Do you
or not? What's funny?
What's funny is your approach of question.
Why?
Honestly.
Just answer the question.
Because you know why it's funny.
Yes or no? You either do or you don't, right? I ask a question, the answer is yes or no. Why can't you say yes or no?
I believe in the Islamic system.
Would you like Sharia law in this country?
I would love...
Yes or no?
I would love to see you want...
No, answer the question. Never mind what I want. What do you want?
I want to see the Islamic system...
This country. Last time I'm going to ask you.
If Sharia law...
Yes or no?
If Sharia law means upholding family values, means looking after the poor...
Means no gays, no feminists, i.e. women who get above themselves,
right? That's your caricature. No, that's your
I know what Sharia law wants for women.
Why do so many women become Muslim these days? Why do
because they want to be oppressed. Is that what you're going to tell me?
No. Why do so many Muslim...
Because they want to be oppressed?
Women in the world become Muslim these days?
You tell me.
Well, you better ask them.
Well, why don't you tell me what you think?
Well, they seem to find it something that attracts them, Islam.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many women in the West become Muslim, and for some reason, they seem to like the fact that Islam...
Do you work with women doctors?
Yes, I do. And
how do they feel about your views on this?
I keep a very strict professional line between my...
Do they know what your views are? When they watch this, they're going to be surprised.
Some of them will know, some of them will not know. Okay. Some of them will know, some of them will not know.
Okay. Doctor, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. You've been enlightening with your responses. You may not realise quite how enlightening, but you might find out.
18 minutes. That's how long Piers Morgan asked one man a yes or no question and never got a yes or no. Not on October the 7th. Not on Hamas. Not on Sharia law here. And that's the whole point of this interview. Nobody had to shout an accusation at him. Morgan just kept asking calmly and let the answers do the work. The man who runs an organization calling for a caliphate told a British television audience exactly what he wants by refusing to say what he doesn't. Do you think Morgan exposed something real here, or was the doctor right that these were unfair questions? Drop your thoughts in the comments.